No, I'm good. No, you'll know what I bring up. It'll be pretty obvious. pjnet.tv. It is 9 p.m. East Coast time here in Florida and the rest of the East Coast for that matter. And bumper's running. You see that? And we're recording this because it's important. So we're going to refer back. And we stream to Facebook. We stream to Twitter. And we stream to YouTube. And we have a guest waiting. First time guest. We're going to begin a countdown to Studio 33 Alpha starting now. Well, good evening and welcome to pjnet.tv. I'm your host, Coach Prasic. If you are out there watching this on Twitter, YouTube, or Facebook, we are so glad that you have joined us, but we also would be remiss if we didn't invite you to the live fellowship in our chat room. And if you have a desktop or a laptop or even a good tablet, just go to pjnet.tv, click that first button. There's people over there right now who want to send you friend requests. They want to follow you on Twitter. They want to purchase whatever you're selling, subscribe to your blog, and all that. And if you want a extended car warranty, we can hook you up with one of those too. Folks, it's always great to have a first-time guest, and our guest is here at the recommendation of Diane Cuneo. And I'm happy to bring Jack Watts onto the big screen, coming to us from his home, I presume, in Atlanta, Georgia. Good evening, Jack.
Good evening.
It is. Okay. Well, we had a fun time talking earlier today, and folks, now, Jack sent me quite the press kit, including his resume. Folks, if I went through his resume, our 20 minutes would be exhausted and we would only be about halfway down it. Suffice it to say, Jack has got a long list of credentials. Now, Jack, is that because you've done a lot of great things, or is it because they've just accumulated and you're kind of old?
Well, I guess it's that they've accumulated because I'm old, but I just have purpose and I do things and I enjoy doing them, and I'll retire when I die, and and the Lord's had things for me to do, and I just have done them or done my best.
Hit a couple of high spots that are kind of significant to you. You've done it all, Jack. You're the world's most interesting man, I presume. That they should have you on a commercial, but hit the high spots in case somebody hasn't seen your resume or doesn't know you. Tell us a little about your professional career.
Okay. I went to the University of Georgia and got involved with Campus Crusade for Christ. That's how I became a Christian, because I was raised Irish Catholic from Boston, went to the University of Georgia, and then I went with a group and we created what we thought would be the perfect church out in a radical hippie community during the Vietnam War, and it turned into a cult. And getting out was kind of hard, but instead of allowing, putting myself in a situation where I would just listen to others and essentially be obedient, I decided I wanted to learn some things for myself. So I went to Baylor University, got a master's degree in what they call church-state studies. There aren't many people that have that degree. It's about politics and Christianity, and then went from there for a PhD at Emory back here in Atlanta, and did everything but the dissertation. And there were some reasons why I didn't do that. Then I started working in politics and got so badly turned off because of how nefarious so many of the people in it were. that I began working for a ministry called Walk Through the Bible. And they had publications, the Daily Walk, which was a devotional, and several other things. And I was the salesman for it. And we also did advertising in it. So I became the space rep also. And in so doing, I visited all of the Christian publishers all over the United States and the major Christian ministries. So I knew everybody. And I did that for 3 or 4 years, and there was some, maybe even 5. And then there were some leadership changes, and I started working for myself doing it. And that's where I got all of the interesting things that happened. I did the last mailing for Jim and Tammy Bakker before when they had the scandal. I was on the plane going up there on the I think it was a Wednesday morning, 7 a.m., and there was this greasy guy with a cameraman from NBC sitting in the middle seat, and he had that huge camera at the time. So where are you going? So we're going up there for the Bakker scandal, and I was one of the vendors who didn't get paid for a long time. I ended up getting it because because the people inside were just really good to me. But I was really angry when I got out and went to the ministry. And then when I walked in and saw how devastated my friends were, I just started to essentially help them. And in so doing, I did the last mailing that Norman Vincent Peale ever did. I did work, for Pat Robertson at CBN and their publishing department, Salvation Army. Billy Graham did the only Bible project he ever did lots of things for Thomas Nelson Publishers. So I knew and know everybody in the Christian publishing industry. And then it was really, I hadn't written any books on my own, and I had a number of things that happened that made me think, my life isn't as screwy, and I'm not as messed up as it looks like I am on paper. So I wrote my story, which was, Hi, my name is Jack, and it's my autobiography, and that's kind of code. Hi, my name is Jack, and I'm an alcoholic. So it was, I wrote that, and Simon & Schuster published it. And it won the most inspirational memoir of the year award 10 years ago. And then they also published a second book that was called Recovery from Religious Abuse. And I developed a program for people that help them when they have been in a situation where they've been used, abused, and discarded. And in Christian ministries, that happens a lot. So from there, one of my friends in the small group that I was working in said, Jack, I think you missed your call, and you should have been a writer, and instead of doing all this marketing stuff. And it just really stung. So I just essentially shut down my marketing stuff and began writing. And I've written about 25 books, maybe a couple more than that. I write people's memoirs too, especially people that had some kind of bizarre things happen in their life, which is pretty much everybody. But so I think I've written maybe 27 books and several screenplays, and am actively pursuing trying to get 2 miniseries on TV. It's a little bit hard when you're conservative, because in the entertainment world, they're all pretty left, and I'm not left. I'm not left winger at all.
Jack,
So
you mentioned something that kind of struck a chord with me, and I wanted to drill down on it a little bit because I get the same thing. You actually took at Baylor. You studied the role of the church in politics. I'll call it.
right, right.
And I have been battling not the enemy out there, but I've been battling churches who believe that churches have no business in politics. That's really bad, and they shy away from it. They run and turn inside. And I know what my answer is to them, but I could probably use your advice when you get confronted with the notion that churches should not be involved in the moral fabric of policy making. What do you tell them?
Well, I like to go back to the beginning of our nation, and it was Jonathan Edwards who, in his preaching, gave the moral justification for rebelling against the legitimate King of England. And so it was he as the leader essentially of the Calvinist clergy back then that said, there are things you cannot do because people, citizens, have certain inalienable rights. And so the moral fabric for rebelling against the King of England came from the churches. Now, here's something that most people don't know. At the time of the American Revolution, what percentage of people would you say were church members? Give me a number.
I would say the vast majority.
Okay. And so 60-70% is what
Yeah.
you would guess?
Well north of, yeah, that at the minimum, yeah.
At the minimum, maybe even more than that.
Right.
The truth of the matter is it was 5%. That was it. But these people were studs. They were robust. They were powerful. They believed what they believed with conviction, and they were not weak. So, what I tell people is that for us to retake the United States of America from depravity and darkness, it isn't the progressives that need to change and the liberals and the Democrats and rhinos. It's Christian people need to get up off of their duffs and literally be the strong men and women of God that he has called them to be. And if they do this, and of course you've got that cover up there. That's one of the books that I've written is it's my second to latest one. But in it talks about, the progressives and the Democrats and rhinos and all of them, they aren't going to change because they're deceived. And who deceives them? The deceiver.
Right.
Who isn't deceived? Believers accept that there is a large portion of believers who do not believe a lot of things that are scriptural truths, and because they don't, it marginalizes who they are and their effectiveness. So, that being the case, there are things that we need to do to change who we are, and that's where the power of the Holy Spirit comes in this gigantic struggle between light and darkness, the children of light versus the children of darkness, and without without us breaking down some of the strongholds that keep us from being who the Lord called us to be, we're going to flounder. And we're floundering now. There's no doubt about that. We shouldn't be, but we are. And so, these are the things that I write about and that I'm pretty strong about. And I'm that way because that's what I believe my calling is to do. And but I'm just a guy. I'm not any superstar or anything like that. But the things that I write are right on. And to me, teaching people these truths is more important, really, than even selling the books. That's why on that retaking the USA before 9/11, I told everybody on I've got a big Facebook following. I told anybody that wanted it that I would let them have it for nothing. I would just let them download the and about 500 people did it because we've got to get people to where they understand what the battle really is, and that explains it. And so that's and that's way more important to me to teach the people this than it is to make a couple bucks on each sale. So that's what I did. And frankly, I have another one that I put up there for free right now. That's Hunter's Moon. It's a novel, but it's all about just how awful and evil the deep state really is. And it's a lot of the stuff is based on truth, but it's really easy to read. And I'm letting people on my Facebook thing, go to my website and download that one for free right now, because I'm more interested in teaching them than I am in selling the books. I don't mean to be arrogant, but I don't need the money. And I can't afford to give people hardback books or paperback books, but they're all on Amazon anyway, and they're it's just that's it.
That is McGeeandme.net, I believe.
Yeah. If they go to McGeeandme.net, they can get the Hunter's Moon downloaded right now for nothing.
For nothing. Folks, let me tell you something. When we have a first-time guest, we try to do a dry run, so I get to kind of chat with them during the day, before the program. And as we were talking, Jack said something in line with what you just heard. I want to tell you a story, Jack. I was playing high school football, and every Friday, before the game, we would have the pep rally. And the seniors would be allowed to go on stage and make a little speech. And the speech generally kind of went like this. They would kind of be looking at and shuffle out and say something like, well, we've been working hard this week. I hope you all come out and support us, And it was just, and I would sit there as an underclassman and say, I'm going to change this. Okay? And when it was my turn, when I was a senior, I took the stage and just bowed up my chest and said, I am proud to be an Osceola Warrior. And frankly, I don't care if you come to the game or not, because we're going to beat their butts if you want to watch us. Tickets are about $1, I think. They go on sale around 7 o'clock. I don't know. I don't have to buy one. And that basically disrupted the pep rally. It was over at that point. Everybody stood. And that was we try to avoid the use of the word arrogant, but I really believed it. I was absolutely sold out in the mission, and I'm hearing a very similar sentiment and undertones in your expressions, because Jack, you're quite my senior, actually. You've had your chance to do a lot of different things. And is it kind of your bucket list now to use your writing and your social media presence to make as much an impact as you can? Is that or is there a specific goal?
That's exactly right. And well, I I got T-boned in a car about 2.5 years ago, and it the seat belt pushed so hard that that I mean, I was just black and blue over there. But they took me to the hospital, said I was an AFib, which I never had any heart trouble. 2 months later, I had a heart attack. I was sitting in on my couch, and I remember I called my daughter. I said, I think it's acid reflux, but and she said, yeah, we're going to the hospital. And when I got there, they said that I was that I was a STEMI, and that if I had waited another 20 minutes, I'd be dead. So that had an impact on me. And I said, you know what? I'm not going to, under any circumstances, back down about anything, because I got a second chance. And I said, by God, I'm going to speak the truth in power, in love, mostly. But I'm going
to the extent possible. It says. Jack, speaking of speaking, folks, we are honored to have Jack as one of our keynote speakers at the PJNet event that has not been announced, but I've said it here, but we haven't published anything, January 15th. And Jack, you'll be coming down, and you'll be at liberty to share some of your stuff and sell some of your books that you don't need to sell, but thank goodness.
I don't mind selling them, but it isn't as important as the people learning stuff from them. That's what I really want to have happen about that. And and frankly, that's why I have people start following is because I tell the truth and I write it in a way they can understand. So
I think I understand, Jack, because again, you are my senior, but the older that I get, the more that fourth quarter sense of urgency. And I haven't had
how old I was.
Yeah, every day I'm a little bit more urgent. You realize, we just don't know, and you look back and say,
right.
You come to grips with mortality. We know that. But my question is this: after I'm gone a week or two, will it have mattered that I lived? And that is a very sobering thought, to me at least.
Right.
How can you live all these years and be gone for most people with, after the initial grief and the funeral and, but a month later, it really doesn't matter. That is not, I just can't believe that God that's his plan. I just can't believe that. And if that is his plan, why do we worship such a puny God? That we just kind of mush through life, we live, we die. Yeah.
This is, you're a coach. When you're doing the things as a football player, you're not looking to see if you're pleasing the crowd. You're looking to see if you please the coach.
Yeah.
Our coach is the Lord.
Yeah.
And that's the only one we have to please.
And we're actually implored to excellence. We're not implored to get out there and just play. We're commanded to work as unto the Lord. Bring it, give it your best. And, but Jack, it's been a lot of fun. I think our time's up, and we have another guest who's actually knocking on the door as we speak. Jack, thanks for sharing. I wish we had more time. We'll have to do this again when we get a little bit closer to the event, and we'll have some fun. Appreciate you sharing with us.
Bye-bye.
All right.
Thank you for having me.
Okay. I'm just pressing some buttons here. There you have the view from high atop the Eagle's Nest. Whoa, that's not the view. Something is terribly wrong. Yeah, something is terribly wrong. I'll fix that in a minute. I promise you. We're going to get that fixed. Okay, folks, Jack Watts was just with us, and we have, at the bottom of the hour, As good as that was, it's going to stay good. It might. Can it get better? Well, I don't know. We're going to find out. How about that? Don't touch that dial. We have a first-time guest standing in for Michelle Medlock Adams, who is normally on at the bottom of the hour. And I've got to do a little housekeeping between now and then. I only have a few minutes. I'm going to take a little station break, maybe get some more coffee, and we'll be back. In the meantime, I have 2 questions for you to consider. What is the boldest thing you've ever done for Jesus Christ? And how long ago was it when you did that? I hope none of us will be satisfied with either answer.